Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the host of 1% podcast, Sam Bakhtiar here. I have a very special guest with me, Adam Tatunji. What's happening?
What's up, dude? Can't really see me on camera, but...
I know, but you're on the camera. You know, you have a face for radio, so we're going to put you on the...
I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so one of the topics we want to talk about today is anxiety.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you want to know about anxiety? I know a lot of entrepreneurs are so hard on themselves all the time.
100%.
You know, because we see everything that's going on Instagram. You know, everybody's like killing it. Everybody's doing this. Yeah, we compare ourselves, and now we're all becoming anxious, and we all have anxiety and all that kind of stuff. I know for years, anxiety, I think it's been built in my genes, in my culture. I think Persians are just naturally walking around with a fucking stick up their ass all the time, and then fucking, you know, they're walking around. It's like, I know Persian billionaires are fucking walking around like a chip on their shoulders all the time. Like, dude, man, calm the fuck down. You're doing pretty good, right? So tell me about, you know, what you want to know about anxiety. Let's talk about it.
So I want to begin with one pretty straightforward question. What's the root of all anxiety?
I believe the root of our anxiety is unmet expectations. When you put a lot of expectations on yourself and you don't meet these expectations, you put a lot of pressure on themselves, not only yourself, but outside world kind of puts the pressure on you. And I think that one of the most important things that you have to learn, and everybody has to learn, is to be able to be comfortable where you are with what you have now. And I also believe that sometimes anxiety comes from not being organized. Because when you're not organized, when you're around and doing a bunch of different things and you're not getting stuff done, all these stuff piles up. I know for me, you know, I have a to-do list, right? And every time, you know, the to-do list gets bigger and bigger and bigger, I don't check things off. Next thing you know, my anxiety level goes up as these things don't get checked off. So that's what I think some of the most anxiety comes from. Some people are just what I call clinically, you know, have anxiety.
And why do you think that happens?
So why do I think people have clinical anxiety? I don't know if obviously the medical, all the medical implications, but I know some people are just medically have hormonal imbalances, have anxiety. I know some of my relatives, man, they have nothing, really no outside stress that I can think about, but they walk around always anxious, you know, and always worried about things. I remember, even with my mom, I remember when the election was going on. My mom doesn't have a care in the world right now. She's set. She doesn't have anything. When the elections was going on, I would walk in and she would be like, Sam, do you see what Trump is doing? Oh my God, did you see that? And the next day, Sam, do you see what Hillary said? You know, and the next day, Sam, do you see what happened here? I'm like, Mom, turn off the news. Just concentrate on the good things. You know, naturally, I think that as humans, we concentrate on everything that's going wrong. You know, if you ever wanted to test something out, you know, here's what I urge you. You know, send the same email body and put on the subject line good news, and the same email body and put a subject line bad news. And you see that the bad news gets twice the open rate as the good news.
All right, so my next question is this. You grow up in a family that is always anxious for things. You know, your surroundings are anxiety 101. Every single day, that's all you deal with. And then all of a sudden, you meet somebody who tells you about this new life of quote-unquote entrepreneurship and how you can, you know, crush your limited beliefs and get out of that bubble, but you don't know where to start. How do you remove the anxiety after living with it for so long?
You know, that's a great question. Coming from a family that has huge anxiety all the time, you know, I come from, you know, a family who had crazy expectations and anxiety. I think a lot of anxiety comes from when you have a lot of anxiety comes from when you don't have a plan and you don't know where to start. But once you put a plan together and then have every single step planned out, and all you have to do is execute and not second guess, and that's when you crush anxiety. Anxiety, I think, for me, comes from when you have to make a bunch of decisions. But if you make the decisions ahead of time to exactly where you are and exactly where you're going and have a specific plan for each and every day and each and every week and each and every month of what to do, I think that's when you overcome anxiety and overcome stress.
So my final question on this topic, give me 5 specific strategies that you've implemented in your life to help overcome anxiety.
Okay, so here exactly what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a type A personality. I'm a go-getter. And I put huge pressure on myself and my team around me because I'm I realize that my happiness comes from progress and shows forward progress. But if you don't have a method of dealing with stress and a method to dealing with anxiety, you're going to get very, very, very stressed. So here's one thing. First thing first, you can't stress over something you can't control. So always look at a situation and look at something and be like, look, do I have control over this? Is there something I can specifically do to get rid of this or fix this? And if it's nothing that you can specifically do to fix this, then you can't really worry about it. You can't let it get stressed, because at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. Okay? Number two, if it's something that's stressing you out, if it's especially a certain person that's stressing you out, obviously try to talk to the person and try to see if there's a way that you can resolve that issue with that person. So this way you guys can be on the same page. But here's one rule that I have in life. If I wake up 3 mornings in a row and you're the first thing that comes in my mind and I'm not sleeping with you, you gotta go. There's no reason somebody needs to occupy that much space of my time in my head, stressing me out, because the first thing I get up, I want to think about something that's very positive. And if it's something negative and a negative person comes in my mind, I have to get rid of that situation or get rid of that person. Now let's talk about some things that you can do, physically, okay? Something that I know I do all the time. People always ask me, Sam, why do you work out so early in the morning? You at this point in your life, you can wake up anytime, do anything. Because I know before I have contact with the human species, I got to work out. Because look, when you work out first thing in the morning, you release endorphins, you release enkephalins. That's your natural high hormones, right? You're in a good mood. You take care of your first thing first, which is you. Because at the end of the day, the most important person in life is you. Because if you don't feel good, if you don't feel healthy, you cannot give your 100% to everyone else. So for me, I get in the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning. I take care of number one, which is me. So I can look good, feel good, be at my peak state, so I can give everybody else 100%. Next thing is diet. Look, just like in this Ferrari and this Lamborghini, you can't put junk fuel in a high performance engine. I'm not going to put 87 octane in a Lambo or 87 octane in a Ferrari. I have to put top fuel for it to be able to perform. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're somebody who's pushing yourself to the limit, you got to make sure you're giving yourself the right fuel. So you got to make sure you eat a proper balanced diet, lean proteins, a lot of green leafy vegetables, a lot of essential fatty acids. These are some of the, drink at least a gallon of water. These are basics. Another thing you can do is, take vitamin, extra antioxidants, vitamin C. You can take, anti-inflammatories. A lot of things that you can do to be able to make sure this high performance machine is working at its peak. And last but not least, you want to make sure that you have a hobby outside making money and outside everything else. You got to have something, a different hobby. So for example, I see so many people that the only hobby is making money, only hobby is to drive the business. What other hobby you have? This is especially important for people who don't have kids. When you have kids, guess what? That's your hobby. For me, that's my hobby. That's my safe place. For me, I cannot wait. Like today, I go get the kids after school, and I cannot wait. That by itself releases stress. But if you're a single entrepreneur, you're pushing, you don't have any other hobby but just grinding, that's going to catch up to you. Okay? So I want you to pick out a hobby, something that you look forward to outside of the grind. Okay? And that's very important for you to stay balanced throughout your life and be able to take your life to the next level.